The hustle paradox. Let's first discuss about the noise of effort. You wake up before the sun, scroll through motivational clips that tell you grind harder, never rest, sleep when you're dead. You sip burned coffee, open the tabs, answer messages you don't remember sending. By 10 a.m., you already feel behind. That's the illusion, the performance of motion. We've been trained to equate exhaustion with progress, to confuse being busy with being effective. It's not our fault. Our system, like school, social media, even self-help culture, rewards visibility over precision. The loudest walker, not the smartest one, gets noticed. But here's the first truth of the hustle paradox. The more time you spend proving your value, the less time you have to create it. People don't burn out from overwork, they burn out from inefficient work, from doing too much of what doesn't matter. The lazy ones, or the ones everyone mocks, they are often just ruthless with their energy. They look unproductive because they refuse to waste fuel. The paradox begins. Now, let's talk about the hidden currency that, every human runs on two currencies, time and energy. Time is democratic, everyone gets 24 hours. Energy isn't. You don't lose the day when the clock strikes midnight. You lose it when your tension collapses. That's why the person who works three focused hours a day often outruns the one grinding 14. Call it the energy differential. Lazy people intuitively protect their energy. They automate small choices, avoid unnecessary conversations, and minimize friction. Meanwhile, smart and driven people scatter their focus over managing or optimizing or analyzing, burning through mental reserves long before the real challenge arrives. That's why overachievers plateau early. They mistake depletion for dedication. If you want to see the pattern, look at nature. Predators don't chase everything that moves. They wait, they calculate, they conserve. When they strike, it looks effortless because all the effort happened in the waiting. The efficiency trap. There is another layer. We often think that if we just work faster, we will earn freedom. But the faster you go, the more tasks appear. Efficiency becomes a trap. The better you get at finishing things, the more things people give you. It is like digging a hole with a sharper shovel. You feel progress because the tool slices cleaner, but you are still underground. Lazy people sidestep that trap by being so-called selectively incompetent. They pretend not to be good at everything, so fewer things stick to them. They specialize, they say no easily, and high achievers, on the other hand, get addicted to competence. Every new task feels like proof of worth, but there's no medal for doing it all. The only reward is fatigue. Here's the tactical takeaway: stop optimizing what does not move the mission. If a task doesn't shift outcomes, delete it, not later, now. Because the greatest productivity skill is subtraction. In other words, not any task. You don't have to focus to make efficient any task. You could ask yourself, like, for example, this XYZ help you to get better outcome or not? And if that makes sense, you're doing that. In other words, you're not just blindly wanna improve anything, you precisely improving something, which would make sense. The myth of constant motion. Motion feels safe, stillness feels dangerous. That's why most people would rather keep typing, talking, checking, scrolling, anything to avoid facing the silence that reveals they're lost. But lazy people, they make peace with that silence. They use it. They think longer, act less, and when they act, it's decisive. In psychology, this is called strategic inaction, the art of letting system self-correct before you intervene. Most smart people never master it because they equate control with interference. But every system, a business, a friendship, even your own mind has a natural rhythm. Intervene too early and you break it. The best operators know sometimes the hardest move is not moving at all. Think of like a Warren Buffett reading for hours before making one decision, or a minimalist entrepreneur who deletes half their product line and doubles revenue. Stillness in a world addicted to movement is an act of rebellion. The ego economy. So let's talk psychology. What really drives the hustle culture isn't a mission, it's a fear of being unseen. We crave external validation because we confuse visibility with impact. That's why social media metrics ruin clarity. They make noise measurable. Lazy people, ironically, often have less ego in the game. They don't need every eye watching, they only need one lever that moves results. Ego loves hard work because it's visible, discipline loves quiet results because they last. The moment you stop needing witnesses, your efficiency doubles. Every person has to decide what they value more, the appearance of progress or the experience of it. And once you realize that, you stop broadcasting effort and start designing systems that run without you. That's when you cross the line from worker to architect. So now let's talk about, in general, the architecture of rest. Rest isn't recovery, it's preparation. Lazy people understand this instinctively. They don't rest because they're weak, they rest because they're optimizing for endurance. Smart people push until they crash and then call it burnout. But burnout isn't a badge of honor, it's evidence of poor strategy. Think of your energy like a sniper's bullet. You don't waste it to stay active, you save it for the one shot that counts. True rest doesn't mean escape, it means recalibration, reviewing where the energy went and whether it was worth it or not. It's not the break that makes you sharper, it is the self awareness that comes with it. Lazy people reflect by default, they need reasons before re engagement. And that's why their decisions look lucky, they just well rested. And again, this all talking about not in order to complement being lazy. It's just by saying lazy, I mean type of behavior when You're not just blindly doing things on autopilot, but you measuring is it worth it to do such like XYZ task or not? So now let's talk about the power of asymmetry. And here's the tactical core of the paradox. Effort is not proportional to outcome. You can triple your hours and get 2% improvement, or tweak one small variable and multiply results by 10. That's the 80-20 rule in disguise. But few apply it properly because it requires ego death. You have to admit that 80% of what you do has no impact. Lazy people survive longer because they instinctively avoid asymmetry traps. They spend 80% of their time on the 20% that matters. And smart people chasing perfection inverted. The paradox rewards humility, the willingness to pause, measure, and cut. Alright, now we talk about the art of energy warfare. Every day is a negotiation between your mind and your body. The body says, I can't. The mind says, we must. And somewhere in between lies your limit. Lazy people do not argue with that limit. They redesign it. They change context, not character. Instead of forcing motivation, they change environment, lighting, sound, timing, small calibrations that reduce resistance. Meanwhile, the ambitious rely on willpower, the most expensive energy source in the system. Here's the truth most never learn. Discipline isn't doing hard things, it's making hard things easy to do. And lazy people build systems that make the right choice automatic. Smart people build pressure that eventually breaks them. Choose systems over struggle. Or it's like another quote, instead of focusing to the goal, focus to the system. Because system requires just showing up every day and do like some task. And you will get your goal soon or early, and all you have to do is just focus to the system. And if you're not getting the goal, maybe you gotta change your current system to something else. Alright, now let's talk about the disguise of luck. People love to label success as so-called luck. It is a comfort mechanism, but the lazy win not because they're lucky. They win because they're selective. They wait for leverage to appear before moving. And leverage multiplies output without multiplying input. That's why someone who works for like 2 hours on the right project can outperform a person grinding 12 on the wrong one. Lazy people chase position, not pace. They understand that the world doesn't reward the busiest, it rewards the most strategically placed. That's why the paradox feels unfair. It exposes how most hard work is just misdirected energy. So that's actually a good point, that it's about putting your energy to the right direction. Otherwise, you can work 24/7 and still not get the goal. All right, let's discuss about the end game. Eventually, high performers learns this truth either through wisdom or through collapse. You can't outrun imbalance. The body collects interest on every ignored signal. The mind remembers every unfinished pause. The lazy avoid collapse because they never accelerate past control. They may not win every sprint, but they dominate marathons. The real game isn't speed, it's sustainability. If you can design a rhythm that keeps you steady when everyone else burns out, you don't just succeed, you outlast. And outlasting in any domain is the ultimate form of victory. So, and here's like a let's wrap up and make like a tactical summary. First of all, stop confusing motion for momentum. Second, protect energy like currency, it's not renewable daily. 3. Subtract before you optimize. 4. Embrace silence, let systems self correct. 5. Rest as preparation, not reward. Seek leverage, not speed. And last one, outlast the impatient. And when you hear someone bragging about how little they sleep, smile, they're playing a short game. When you see someone resting, observing, quietly plotting, do not mistake them for lazy. They are collecting data, aligning variables, conserving energy. In time, those who hustle for attention fade, those who manage energy win. That's the hustle paradox. And thank you for listening. If you like this podcast topic, smash the like button, subscribe button, send your comment. See you next time.